Hello everyone, this is going to be a modding tutorial for Dragon's Dogma 2 for the most useful tool for scripting, which is EMV Engine. So let's go ahead and download it. And I'll leave a link to this page in the description. And the files we're interested in are console, EMV Engine, and hooked method inspector. So let's go ahead and copy them to our RE framework folder, the console, the console, EMV Engine, and the hooked method inspector. And after that, we go in game and reset scripts. And what we should see here is a big window with the console. So this is basically one of the best tools for investigating game stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is to find app.character. And what this does is it searches for all the characters that are currently loaded, and sometimes it doesn't work and you have to click run again, but yeah, it eventually works. And these are all the characters that are loaded. So for example, the player character is this one, and if you untick draw self, you can see that it disappears. And so what this gives us access to is the entire game object of the player. So we're searching for app.character, which is the character class, but the player is actually a game object, and the character class is one of its components that you can see here. Okay, under game object you can see all the components. And we also have some other really useful stuff here. So for example, under transform, you can see the universal position, which is the position on the map currently of the player. And under position, this is the local position of the player in the current scene. You can also see the joints here. So this is very useful for a number of reasons. And these two buttons allow you to log the joint names to the RE framework log file, which is in your game directory. It also has an animations window, which lets you see the animation that you're currently playing, and it even lets you play them yourself. So this is motion bank 110. So these are the fighter animations, and you need to be moving a little bit before they manage to play like this. Each one of them has a motion ID, so this one is 440 and this one is 441, and also a bank ID, which is the number on the left here. It also lets you see the children of the player's game object. So for example, the weapons are here, but also the armor. So for example, if we go here under mess and materials, we can change the color of the armor. So this one, we just changed the strap here to green, and you can do that for all the armor parts. There's actually a mod that does this for you automatically. The next thing we're going to do is do a name search for game objects, and we can actually do this to find the player's game object again. So here it is again, but you can use it to find all sorts of stuff. So for example, when I use projectiles with the stuff, you can see here that they're called cell base, so you can search for them like that, cell base, and you can find the corresponding effects. So this is one of them, this is another one of them, and you can even get in here and you can go into the effect player component and even change its color here. So for example, if we leave only red, it doesn't update while the game is paused, but yeah, there we go, it was red. So after the cell is gone, it no longer shows up in the console. Another thing that's really useful about this is that it lets you find out the names of the UI components, which are usually not very descriptive at all. So here you can either uncheck this box, or if it doesn't let you, you can go here and click on enabled. And you can do this to find out which UI element corresponds to what. So this one's the health bar and stamina bar, and this one is actually the boss health bar, for example. So I can go here. This one's just a general UI component, and this one's the actual boss health bar UI. And you can see, for example, here the dot number. If I change it to 2, it changes here. But the moment I unfocus or reset the console, it goes back, and that's because the UI is usually updated every frame. So any change you make here will have to be done every frame if you want to actually change it. Or you can also go here into the Object Explorer, and it lets you see all the methods for this UI. And so some of these are used to update it, and you could hook them and change it through that hook. Another thing you can do with this is search for gimmicks, which is how the game calls any kind of chest or object on the map. You can see there are a lot of them, and chests are 18096, so we can search for them. And these are all the ones that are currently loaded, so we can do the same thing we did before to find whichever is this one, and it's this one. So we can again see the same stuff. It can actually play animations just like a character. So if I open it, it plays the open animation, and under its components it has a lot of them. But one interesting thing to do here is you can go into generate info, container, then common info, and request ID. And what you find here, this unique ID, which you can access here, is actually the unique ID of the chest itself. So finding out the unique ID of things is very useful. For example, if you want to change the contents of a specific chest, or if you want to outright prevent it from spawning. So the unique ID in this case would be this one. That _0 is added by the console. The actual ID is just what I selected. And you can actually do this for characters as well. They also have a generate info component. So the last thing we're going to do is learn a bit about hooks and methods. And for that we need to know first the difference between a class, like Action Manager, and an instance of that class. So Action Manager is the class that handles animation changes. So when you change animations, that is handled by Action Manager. But the important thing to know is that each NPC or each character has its own Action Manager, and those are instances of the class. They're not the class itself. So what we can do here is hook the methods. For example, request action core is the one that mainly handles changing animations. And as you can see, whenever I change an animation, this method is getting called. But this hook will detect calls from any Action Manager instance. So when you want to hook it later, you'll probably want to filter out whenever it's being called by the player's Action Manager. And one thing that is usually pretty useful when digging through methods on a class is clicking hook all methods and ordering them by call count. And this will tell you basically what is happening and what methods handle which. So as you can see, whenever I change animations, a lot of these methods get called. So this is very useful for finding out which methods handle which stuff. But you have to be careful because hooking all the methods on a class at once can sometimes crash the game. So another thing that you can do with this is whenever a method gets called, under info you can sometimes see what method calls it. So in this case, when I attack, you can see this count go up. So that means my attacks are being called by this method, and you can hook it again and see which method calls that one. In this case, it's being called by job5 actor selector, which makes sense. And you can do this to sort of trace back where things come from. And if you open one of these, it also tells you what methods are called by this one. So as you can see, it can call request action core, and these are just the methods that can be called by it, and usually it's not complete. It doesn't tell you all the methods that it can call, just like a lot of the time this window will not tell you which callers are calling the method that you've hooked. So it's a bit limited, but it's still really useful. Finally, we can copy this and go to the hooked method inspector and paste it here. And what this will do is hook into the method and allow us to change to look into and change the arguments. So in this case, I've just attacked and the method was called and the arguments collected here. So this is the other big thing that you need to know about methods. If you look at request action core, it's called with 3 arguments. The first one is the priority, the second one is the name of the action that is being called, and the third one is the layer. So layer 0, for example, means full body animation, and upper layer means upper body animation, like the archer arrows. So if we go here, we can see that the priority, name, and layer index are actually arguments 3, 4, and 5. This is actually so that arguments 2 and 1 are reserved for other stuff. And the most important one is that args2 gives you the instance of the class that called the method. So in this case, args2 is just the player's action manager. And args4 is the string that handles the action. So in this case, if you go here, it's a bit hidden, but it's here, and it's job 5 short range attack, which is exactly what I just did. And you can also check it out in the action manager itself on the selected request. So short range attack, and then under current action list, it tells you the full body animation and the upper body animation, which in this case is just a default because the main animation we're in is the warrior attack. So one last thing to mention is that while you have the console or hooked method inspector installed, when you click reset scripts, it will be a lot slower. So when you're done testing stuff, you should remove them or uninstall them, however you want. And that's about it for today. I hope the video was useful and you could follow it properly. And see you next time.